Kenji Goto, Japanese journalist, sought the story of what ISIS wants to do. Kenji Goto had every reason to stay home in Japan. A successful career. An adoring mother. A loving wife. The pair of young daughters, one of them just 3 weeks old. Yet, in his mind, he had to go into war-torn Syria. The experienced journalist explained why in a video shot in October from southern Turkey. He felt compelled to tell the stories of war in all its trauma, complexity and humanity. Syrian people have been suffering for 3 years and a half. It's enough, the 47-year-old Goto explained. So I would like to get the story of what ISIS wants to do. So Goto crossed the border into Syria and headed toward the Islamist extremist group's de facto capital of Raqaa, despite the advice of friend, Alaaeddin Al Zaim, who'd been with him previously in that nation. Al Zaim recalled telling Goto, "It's not safe for you." The journalist replied that he didn't feel he was in danger. After all, his native Japan, unlike the Iraqi government and the international coalition supporting it, wasn't involved in the military fight against the terrorist group that's branded itself as the Islamic State. "I am not American. I am not British. I am Japanese," Goto said. "According to Al Zaim, I can't go." He was apparently mistaken. Now that he's been captured by ISIS, the question is whether or not Goto will ever go home alive. Caught after going into ISIS-controlled Syria, Goto covered big news stories for years, hoping that by telling them he could make a difference in the world. His work was featured by numerous Japanese organizations, including broadcaster NHK. And he wasn't afraid to put himself in harm's way to tell a story. One need just look to his previous trip to Syria, where a bloody, complicated civil war has gone on for 4 years. The United Nations estimated in August that nearly 200,000 had been killed, more than 3 million Syrians had become refugees and at least 6.5 million were displaced inside the country. While there, Goto came to know another Japanese man, a 42-year-old aspiring security contractor Raqaa. According to Raqaa's friend Nobuo Kimoto, Goto passed along insights on how to survive in Syria and introduced him to rebel fighters, who are distinct from ISIS though both are fighting Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's forces. The fact the two Japanese men's paths had crossed again became public January 20 in an ISIS video posted to social media. It shows Goto and Raqaa dressed in orange, kneeling in front of a masked, black-clad man. In it, the ISIS militant gives the Japanese government a choice to pay $200 million, the same amount of money Prime Minister Shinzo Abe recently pledged for those contending with ISIS, to free the Japanese men within 72 hours. Days later, a new message was posted by known ISIS supporters featuring the voice of someone claiming to be Goto. Raqaa apparently was dead. And so soon would Goto, the new message claimed, unless Jordan's government freed its longtime prisoner, Sayyid al-Rashid, a convicted terrorist. Mother, Goto wanted to help children in war zones. That's where things stood Thursday, with the fate of Goto, al-Rashid and Mos al-Khalfas, a Jordanian pilot recently captured by ISIS while on a military mission targeting the Islamist extremist group. Japan's government then, as it has for days, insisted it's doing everything within reason that it can to bring Goto home safely. Within this extremely severe context, I instructed officials yet again that we work together, as one, to secure the immediate release of Mr. Goto, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has said. Speaking out for the first time Thursday, Goto's wife, Raqaa, said her husband was taken from me October 25, although she didn't know it until a December 2 message from his captors landed in her inbox. Now, after working tirelessly behind the scenes, she went public to beg the Jordanian and Japanese governments to understand that the fates of both Goto and Al-Zaim are in their hands. Her statement comes after she got another email Wednesday with the hostage-takers' fine demand. "Our baby girl was only 3 weeks old when Kenji left. I hope our oldest daughter, who is just 2, will get to see her father again," Raqaa said. "I want them both to grow up knowing their father." As to why Goto left in the first place, his wife said, "My husband is a good and honest man who went to Syria to show the plight of those who suffered. I believe that Kenji may have also been trying to find out about her Yukawa's situation. I know all too well what Yukawa's relatives are going through." The Japanese captive's mother, Junko Ichido, had spoken out previously trying to save a man she insists is not the enemy of ISIS. While Goto's decision to go to Syria surprised his mother, his rationale did not. Ichido said, "Kenji always has been a kind person, ever since he was little. He was always saying, 'I want to save the lives of children in war zones.' And now Goto could become the victim in a war, a fact that's tearing Ichido apart. 'I am a mother,' she said. 'I cannot bear this.